Hey everybody, it's Mark with VOGTLAND Outdoors. And sometimes you want to get some cooking done and you want to get outside and actually shoot at the same time. So what do? You make crock pot meatloaf. That's what we're going to do today on VOGTLAND Outdoors. But first, the intro. Okay, here we are back again. Crock pot meatloaf is super easy. I don't know if you guys know the history of crock pots, of meatloaf rather. Meatloaf is all about how to make 1 pound of meat go as far as possible, like feed a family of 6. Because the answer is, it can't. It can't actually feed 1 pound of meatloaf, in fact, can't feed 6 people. So, or 1 pound of meat can't feed 6 people. So what everybody did back in those days, back when my dad was a kid in the 30s, in the late 1930s and through the 40s, the war years, was you learned to put a bunch of filler inside here to make it bigger. And then you didn't try to make burgers or anything. You made a loaf of bread. You actually baked it in an oven since it had so many other ingredients. You baked it in an oven in a bread pan, which is why they called it meat loaf. Only I don't have time to be waiting around for the oven, so I'm just going to shove everything in the crock pot. We're going to start by just figuring out what goes into your meatloaf. Here's the big question. What goes into meatloaf? And the answer is, what have you got? That's the beauty of meatloaf, is that you start off with just a bunch of crumbly stuff. You mix in some veggies, anything that you happen to have. Throw some barbecue sauce or some ketchup in those days, ketchup and a little bit of mustard on there, and hey, you're done. That's all it was. When it cooks and sits and stews for a couple hours, along with some potatoes and other things like that, it comes out tasting delicious. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to end up with 1 pound of meat, and we're going to put in what I grew up with was Ritz crackers, guys. My mom would buy a box of Ritz crackers. We grew up a little on the poor side. Then we're going to chop up some potatoes. You always have to put some celery in. It gives it a salty flavor. You put in some carrots because it gives it a sweet flavor. You put in cilantro and let it mince inside there because that's going to smell delicious when it's cooking. We'll throw zucchini in. This is for somebody I knew back in high school, Terry Lee. Yes, I'm using zucchini. Mind control agent. Do you remember when your mom used to make zucchini chocolate cake and I said zucchini was a mind control agent? Yeah, well, here I am. I'm well trained. Then we're going to throw in some, straw mushrooms, the kind that you use in Chinese food. These are the best. If you've never tried straw mushrooms, throw every other mushroom that you have in the house out, even shiitakes. These are delicious. You mince these up and throw them inside the meatloaf, and then I'm even going to spread them around on the bottom. We're going to be we're going to be cooking this thing with very little water. It's not going to be a wet dish. It's not going to be steaming when it does all of this. We're going to throw in a little bit of flaked Parmesan, just because my daughter left it here when she was here over Christmas. Sorry, Nair, using it at all. We have to use some of the ketchup. We'll use a little bit of mustard, doesn't matter what kind. I'm going to mince up a little bit of ginger. And what else? The potatoes are going to be baking inside here. And instead of dumplings, this is actually a really cool and fast way to do it. Go get pork mini buns. These are already little bread things with pork wrapped in them, and they steam really, really well so that by the time the meatloaf comes out, those things are going to taste amazing. So I'm going to put the camera off to the side and let's get started. Wow, the sun is just pouring in, so it looks like this is all being done from heaven. Always wash your hands with soap and water, guys. You don't actually need to see all of that. Always use an apron. You never know what you're going to be touching. Let's get started. I haven't even turned the crock pot on. My goal is to have all of this done in 15 minutes so I can get to the archery range where all my buddies are waiting for me. So, put this down. Grab myself a knife. What kind of knife? Who cares? Doesn't matter. Open it up from the back. I've got, I don't know if you guys ever have this, but I got a half circle garbage can. And the half circle garbage can sits right on the side of the island so you can just slide stuff off. Okay, we need a mixing bowl to put this in. I'm looking for a mixing bowl, mixing bowl, mixing bowl, mixing bowl. Could be plastic, would prefer glass or metal. This will be just fine. Here's how you mix. Dump it in. Set that off to the side. We start mixing up ingredients. First thing I'm going to need, a couple of pieces of celery. What I want you guys to see is that this little 1 pound bundle of meat is going to turn into a bread-sized loaf by the time we're done. All right, see how it's all dry and icky right there? We don't want those, so we're going to immediately chop those off. Here's another little trick that I'll teach you. When you're trying to chop all of these things up, you're going to split them all the way down like this while they're still bound, while they're still tied on the butt end. Just going to split them all down. Then when you start chopping them sideways, you'll find that they come out already nicely minced, nicely diced. One more over here. And it's ready to go. See how that looks? I'm going to cut them off about 1/4 of an inch. You're going to see me bundle here, but I'm putting my knife right up against the back edge of my fingers to guarantee that I actually don't get my fingers chopped up. You can already see that this is going to add volume to that chunk of meat. We're going to put it in. Oh, we forgot a raw egg too. We got to throw in 2 raw eggs. That's pretty good. So I got to get a bunch of other stuff in there too. All you got to do, I'm going to pick a different knife. Got this one. Remember how I showed you guys how to sharpen? Put your sharpening stick, your honing rod, put it on a firm surface. Draw it back forth. Feel that? You hear that? That's the sound of metal coming off. That's a sound of it being sharpened. Okay, we're good. Wipe the blade off because there really is metal coming off right there. We're going to take all of this and dump our first little bit in the bowl. So far so good. That's what it looks like. Next, you notice I'm not doing the crackers first. I don't want it to get too big and too dry. Hold on. I don't want it to get too big or too dry too soon. You get all the nice, the stuff that's edible, you get that in there first. Then you go and you add the filler, the dry filler, until it starts to fill out. So let's get back in. Back down to the chopping block. Chopping board, sorry. Let's get some carrots out. Carrots, carrots, carrots. Carrots I'm going to grate. We're going to run through the grater. So I got a little mandolin here. I should have a bigger one than this. This will work. So carrots have a natural sugar in them, just like sugar beets. So they give everything that goes in them a sweet flavor. You're always wondering why it tastes sweet and it's got carrots in there. It's because carrots aren't one of your normal vegetables. They're a root. They're a root, like the beets. Sugar beets, stuff like that. Heck, even ginger is a root, and they carry a lot of sugars. It's looking pretty good. Watch your fingers. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We're going to stop right there. I'm going to put that guy back. I'm going to put some other ones, I'll put some whole carrots around there too. This is just part of the filler of the meat that I'm working on. So there's what we got so far, looking good. What's next? I need a little bit of ginger. Ginger, guys, you see these little nipples here? They're useless. We don't want those. We're going to cut those off, toss those away. We're trying to get at the ginger material there, so I'm going to chop this end off. You see how wet that looks? That's what I want. set this off to the side. We're going to peel it just by scraping down. This one's getting kind of old. Even though it's wet, I can tell it's old from its texture. That's all stuff I don't want, so I'm going to take that, get rid of it. That's all the hide. Now I have some fibrous tissue there, and you're wondering how am I going to get rid of that and turn that fibrous tissue into minced. We're going to cut off little potato chip layers that look like that. So potato chip, potato chip, potato chip, potato chip. You'd be surprised how good this stuff tastes. So you can put a lot in there. And now I've got potato chips here. And what I want to do is mince them. So to mince them, you set it down in the middle of the board, you take a big blade, flat, and you mash it. Look what just happened. I just bashed all those fibers up. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. You might look and say, hey, that's just like when you're doing garlic, right? Yep. Then you put the tip of the blade down in one corner and you go up and down and up and down and up and down while rocking. You rock over the top of it while rotating. Reposition it, do it again. Wipe your blade off. This is why your hands have to be washed. Look at it a little bit. Take one more swipe. Whatever is left in there is going to take 2 hours to cook. It's going to be nice. Oh, doesn't that look good? Smell that. Yeah, it tastes delicious. Guys, if you're a white American, grow some balls. Put some ginger inside your food. You're going to like it a whole lot better. Let's get some. You just don't know what you're missing out on. The whole rest of the planet knows how good ginger is. We think of it as Chinese food stuff. We're going to take a little bundle of the cilantro. Also, I'm going to bunch it up, put my fingers against the blade. Put the blade against my fingers rather, and then move down so that I know for a fact my fingers are not in the way, they're not under the blade because they feel the back. We're going to turn it a 90-degree angle, chop it again. This is just coarse chopping because it's going to get inside the meat. Don't need that piece. I'm going to take one pass and treat it just like it was ginger. Oh, God, that smells good. This is for my nephew, Tom. I told you to don't use parsley, use cilantro. If you started cutting right now and you smell that, smell that. Ah! God, that stuff smells good. It makes it... Here's a cool thing. I got to tell you guys this. The truth is, when you put cilantro inside your food, you got a bunch of, like, your typical Americans, they're all going to say, oh, wow, it just became exotic. Because they never use cilantro. Go figure. But it's going to make you look like you're some kind of a master chef, all because you learned how to use one ingredient. Throw a little bit of onion there at the same time, a little bit of ginger, and now your food starts to get complex. That's why people like food. They don't like food because it's simple. They like food because it's complex. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's not just salt. It's not just pepper. It's not just sugar. It's a whole combination of things. And your taste buds, your olfactory senses are able to actually sift out all of it. It's like a symphony. Instead of hearing a chord, instead of hearing a note, doing, you hear a chord. Whoa! That's why people like when chefs cook, because they use all those different spices. Let's go back and keep going. We're gonna mince up some of these straw mushrooms. Some of these straw mushrooms. You gotta open the jar up. Boy, I'm really struggling with what to do with this water. It's so good that I think I'm gonna end up roasting in it. So I'm gonna take that. The water that's inside there, and that is going to get set off to the side while I decide how much I'm going to use. So I'm just going to pour that off. It's like it's already been steeped inside mushrooms, so it's already tasting delicious. But I don't want to get rid of that. Then I want to show you what a straw mushroom is. You can eat these just like this. They're delicious, just like that. My God, nothing tastes like a straw mushroom. All right, we're going to take a couple. I don't even like mushrooms, but I love straw mushrooms. Go figure. All right, we're going to put this away. Then we got some onions to do, and then we're good. you do a rough cut here first, just so they stop rolling around. It's like it's just really choppy. Then we're going to try to mince it down a little bit. And these taste so good, I'm going to put more in. God, these taste good. That's not enough for 1 pound of meat. Everybody's going to want to have a little chunk of this. Set that off to the side. Get some more. Put those guys back. Yeah, that looks good. Rough block, chop, just so they stop moving because they're round. They're cylindrical rather. So this is hard to do this fast. You just gotta chop the pieces up. Look for where the fat ones are. Chop them down in that area. That looks pretty good. One more time, gather them all together. We don't want to make a pate out of it. You know, we don't want it minced because there's no fibers that you have to worry about breaking up and making digestible, making palatable. More like we're just trying to make it look like crushed mixed nuts, that kind of thing. There, that looks pretty good. We want there to be a little texture, and that's going to go in. We've already put in the same amount of volume as that 1 pound of hamburger had. Let's see what we got so far. Yeah, baby. Let's see, an onion. I'm going to take a regular yellow onion. I like those better because they tend to be sweet. I think they're called vidalias, even though these are kind of small. I'm going to cut the tip off. Going to cut the butt off. Throw that away so they behave themselves a little bit. You're going to peel off the dry part as best you can. That always leaves you with one other skin that you got to get rid of. You're going to get rid of it just by running the knife blade over like this until you see it cut in just a little bit, and then rock it. Did you see that rocking motion? I didn't keep sliding. Then you're going to cut this corner in, and you're going to pick that up. And that's going to take the smallest possible sliver of onion off all the way around. Oops. There. Now we're going to break this into 2 pieces. We're going to split it into 2 pieces. And I'm going to cut only up to here. You see this difference? I'm not going to cut all the way to the back. I'm going to cut all the way down right up to here so this all stays together. Watch. Cut, 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 cut. Get your fingers out of the way. Cut, cut. I'll make 1 cut across here. And what you have is that it too is ready to get diced, but it still keeps itself together. So we're going to set that off to the side. Start cutting. Most of the time when you're holding onto a knife, guys, you're holding onto it like this. Your hand is actually touching the blade. It gives you the most control. You don't want to be handling like this or like this. You want to be handling like this. You want to feel on that knife. This is only a $10 knife that I got from Woodman's grocery store right here in North Aurora, Illinois. I like this knife so much, I buy 4 of them, and then I go and I buy them for Christmas gifts for my sisters-in-law, and they think I'm actually amazing. They probably think I'm amazing because I'm always picking up their daughters, carrying them off to work and stuff like that, but this helps too. How am I doing on time? I think I'm right at the 15-minute mark, 10-minute mark. We're almost there. You never have too many onions. This might look like it's a lot, but this is what actually gives that salty, savory flavor to the meat. I think it's looking pretty good, but we're going to run 1 coarse chop through here just to make sure I've gotten no long strands. There, that looks good. That's going to get all through and through the meat. Whee! Through and through the meat, and it's going to be really good. Oh, my eyes are watering. That onion's really got something in it today. All right, let's see how we're doing now. You can see how fat this thing is, and I don't even have any filler yet. But we do need salt. We're going to leave the zucchini out. The zucchini is just going to get coarse cut, and it's actually going to go in the crock pot as the big ticket item. So we're just going to lay that around in there afterwards. We're going to do the same thing with a couple of big pieces of celery, big chunks, all the way around. We're going to do the same thing with some whole carrots all the way around. And we're going to do the same thing with some potatoes. We want all the potato chunks to be approximately the same size. If you can do that with individual whole potatoes, lucky you. But look at this guy. In order to make him look like the other guys, I need to cut him into 3 pieces. Now I'm looking pretty good. Let me take 2 more. So everybody likes potatoes with their meat. Gonna get them roughly the same size. This one, roughly the same size. There, that ought to do it. We set those all off to the side. We're ready to start mixing. We got everything we need. We need a little bit of this butter. I'm going to throw that into the microwave for about 30 seconds. Just enough to melt it and throw it inside here. Meanwhile, I'm going to actually get ready to start opening this up, and as soon as it enters my hands, I'm going to start crushing it and throwing it in there. Then the last thing we got to do is throw an egg, two eggs in there. You don't even have to mix them up. We're going to get these in and crush them. You want them coarse, not powderized, guys. You see how I crushed those, but I didn't go crazy? There. Looks like that. Do you see how big this thing is? It's half of the bowl now. That's what meatloaf is all about. And I haven't put anything inside it yet. I haven't mixed it yet either. Okay, we got a bunch of... We have a bunch of melted butter. This is 1 stick of butter that I melted. Did I measure? No! You've entirely missed the point of what meatloaf is all about. If you think I'm supposed to be measuring all of this. Now, we need 2 eggs. Then I'm going to turn the crock pot on, throw all of this other stuff in, and walk away. Okay, here's 1 egg. Always crack it on 2 sides at least. You don't want to have, the last thing you need right now is to break an egg and realize you dropped a shell inside all that mix. Ask yourself, if you dropped a piece of shell inside there, how the heck are you going to find it? You're not. So, make sure you crack the egg on the side. Go around. Try to keep your eggs cold. They crack better. They crack cleaner. There. Notice I didn't mix it or anything. All right, it's spatula time. Here's the spatula. We're going to start mixing. Might take our hands too. We'll get started. It's going to take our hands. I'm going to get my hands wet. This goes a little bit easier, a little bit faster when your hands are wet. Just got to get right in there and just start mixing the whole thing up. See what this looks like? Welcome to meatloaf. The kids love this. If your kids can have their, like your granddaughters or your grandsons, get everybody to participate in this. Just squeeze it through your fingers. You're trying to extrude it. Ew. Yeah, you got to get it thoroughly mixed. You don't want any part in there that is only meat. It's all got to be exposed to all those ingredients. Why? Complexity, guys. Complexity. Immunities! Yeah. You guys ever see that show, Bubble Man or Bubble Boy? We just watched it again for the first time in a long time over New Year's Day, and it was a riot. All right, it's feeling a little bit wet. I'm gonna wipe my hands off. I'm gonna go and get some more crackers. I'm only gonna break the ones that I need. I'm not gonna break a whole bowl up and then find out I didn't need it and now I've ruined it all. Let me wash this off. Wipe my hands off. I think with that butter in there, I'm actually going to need both of these rolls. We are cutting out everything, guys. Crunching it right up inside here. Then I'm going to open it up. I'm not going to mix any more up. I'm not going to crush anymore. I'm going to mix these in. See how this is doing. You're seeing me fold it in now. That's called folding. Hello to Middlebrook Hall Food Service, the University of Minnesota. That's how I earned my way through college. Was working there at 27 hours a week for 5 years. Got a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering out of it. But I also learned how to cook. Met some amazing people there, including all the girls in Middlebrook Hall. Annie and Janie Sue and Yvonne. Yeah, haven't heard your names in ages. Look how big that thing has gotten now. It looks kind of like mincemeat because that's what it is. You've minced it down. But now it's got all these goodies inside it. So now all we're going to do is fashion it into a loaf, gently set it down into the bottom of the pan, lay everything around in there, and turn it on. So I'm going to roll this thing out. Oh my God, this looks good. Look at that. I'm not going to try to over touch it. I'm just going to try to pat it into being a loaf that sits in the bottom of the pan. There, look at that. Dang, I got to see if you guys can see that. Oh yeah. Now I got to pick it up. Don't let it sit for too long or it's going to get sticky. We're going to set it down right in the bottom of my crock pot. Let me wash my hands off and I'm going to show you guys that. I got to make it look good though. Right now, whatever shape you give it, it's pretty much going to take. So you want it to look good right now. All right, washing my hands off really quick. Because right now I got raw meat on my hands. So whatever touching I'm going to do, I'm touching raw meat and I don't want that. Wash your hands off with soap and water. Get the meat residue off, get the butter residue off. You're about to put it in your glove and go shoot with it. Bad idea. Okay, let's take a look at what we got right now. That went pretty fast. It's 15 minutes, maybe 20. But look at what this looks like. Oh yeah, baby. That is going to be amazing. Now I'm just going to throw a whole bunch of stuff inside there. Let me start laying it out. There. All right, we're going to try some carrots and zucchini first, all the way around. They can take the intense heat of being right up against the edge. Same thing with the potatoes. So they're going to go next. They can stay, they can like get wet, if you know what I mean. They can afford to get wet down in the bottom of the pan as the juices start to come out. Then I'm going to start getting some potatoes in there all the way around. And then I'm going to put the sticky buns. The dumplings are going to go there too. This is still going to end up being kind of wet when I'm done. Open this up. I can use this dirty knife on my sticky buns because I'm using all of these sticky buns. Check these guys out. I'm just going to pour them in at first. Yeah, pretty good. Then I'm going to lay them around the outside because I want this part to actually get a finish on it, some kind of a finish. There. What else? I'd say that's looking pretty. Oh, we got our last little bit of mushrooms on top. There you go. All right, we're going to turn this on and let it start heating up. I'm going to set it to high. So it's on high right now. It takes a while for it to heat up. But the last thing I'm going to do is, it's got to be ketchup. I'm going to squirt just a little bit of ketchup on it. Brand new ketchup. No. There. It doesn't have to have much. It's got all kinds of flavor of its own. I'm going to put a little bit of mustard. Mustard always has a little water on top, so you see me squirt it into the garbage can first. There. Now I can put a little bit in there. Like I said, it's got flavors of its own that I already put right inside there. The Parmesan, I forgot to put it in. We'll sprinkle a little bit on, just see what happens. There. No idea. No idea what's gonna happen there. And lastly, just a little hint. Barbecue sauce. You can always put more barbecue sauce on later on the meat itself. There. This sucker's ready to go. When you're using a crock pot, you're not around for it, but you make sure there's nothing hot nearby because you're about to leave it unattended, and that's a bad idea. So we're going to turn it sideways like that. And now we've got an entire homemade meatloaf on the fly in 15 minutes with little pork flavored sticky buns, mini buns inside there, and a host of other little veggies. Let's go see what this looks like. We're going to let it run for about 2 hours. That's how long I'm going to be gone. I'm going to put the lid on it. Where's my lid? Right over here. And that sucker is ready to go. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's going to sit and steep in its own juices when they start to come out. And it's going to stay hot and wet because of the lid on there. It's not going to get dried out. So, we'll see you guys in about 2 hours. Bye. Off to the archery range next. Oh my God. I'm talking to my camera. Oh my God, do you smell how good that smells? It's been about, let's see, it's coming up on, it's 5:30, 4:30, 3:30, 2:30. It's about 3 hours in the crock pot right now. And all I did was hit it on high and walk away. And right now, by God, look at it. It's just bubbling away inside there. Doing what crock pots are supposed to do. Crocking stuff. Man, does it smell good. I'm just going to leave it there. General rule of thumb is with crock pots and with meat, it's not going to burn. When you still see, if you still see bubbling in there, well, rule number one with crock pots is never take that lid off. Same as rice. Don't ever take the lid off. Just leave it the hell alone until it's done. When is it done? When it's done, all of that juice is going to be gone. When there's no more juice down in the bottom, when it's boiled it all off, when some of this is all managed to seep out, all this water has managed to seep out, that's when you can take the lid off. That's when it's done. Otherwise, it just sits there cooking in its own juices, cooking in its own juices. It's 3 hours. We're going to go to 4. Yeah, why not? Maybe 5. It's only 5:30. We don't have to eat just yet. And then you can just come and cook. But my God, does it smell good. Even my wife. Ju! What did you think when you walked in the house? What did you smell? Did you like that smell? That's right from Africa. Africa says delicious. All right, more in a little bit. Enough born supremacy. Come on, guys, this smells too good. It's time to go and watch it. 3:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6. This thing's ready to come out. Everything sitting in the crock pot for 4 hours has been cooked. Let's take a peek. See how nice and toasty brown is in the side there? You can even see all the little dumplings are all going to be very nicely cooked. Let me go call my wife. Judith! Come and taste! All right, this thing's going to be hot on top, so we're going to tip it away from you always because there's going to be a blast of steam. Oh, look at how well that turned out. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Parmesan cheese melted, all kinds of goodies melted. We're going to turn this to serve. Oh, heck, we're going to turn it to off. And I'm going to get inside there. You can actually get inside there with a spoon and just dig the meat out. So let's go in there with a serving spoon. What do we got? There. That's what we want. We want a big spoon. My drawer looked like everybody else's drawer. 22 years of collecting stuff that nobody wants to throw away. Let's go get a bowl. I'm going to set the camera up. Hold on a second. Okay, let's take a peek. It's almost like goulash. It's still, it could be, I could leave it in here and boil some of that oil out, but it's going to taste too good. Yeah. I'm going to see. I'm going to eat this quite all right. There's what it looks like. It's not really loafy, it got a little wet. But if I keep cooking, get all that moisture out, or if I cook like this is one thing that you can do. I'm going to set it back to high. I'm going to turn the lid open a little bit, and we're going to cook some of the moisture out until it dries out. Otherwise, I'm going to give this a taste right now. Hold on. Let's see. You see my glasses steam up? Smells great. So hot. Wow. The potatoes are cooked. Everything's cooked. The mushrooms. It all came together very nicely. But it did come together more like a hot dish than as because of the moisture that was in there than a meatloaf, and that's fine. I didn't necessarily want meatloaf. I wanted a meal, and a meal that includes little dumplings and everything. Let's check out one of these pork dumplings. Along the side, they came out super wet and super nice and moist. Wow, the whole thing turned out fantastic. What did we learn? We learned that in only about 20 minutes with a box full of tools, a table full of ingredients, just leftovers, guys, with a pound of meat, you can make a meat loaf, put it in the bottom of your crock pot. I didn't do anything to the crock pot. There was nothing in there until I put, the meatloaf down in the bottom. And then all I did was distribute a few extra vegetables in there, turn it on high, and walk away. And it took care of itself. All the juices came out, all the moisture came out of the cilantro, came out of the celery, came out of the meat itself, and all of the stuff that was inside the meat. It all stewed, all that oil came out, and it steamed up inside and hit those dumplings, steamed them up and made them absolutely delicious. This is Mark Vogt with VOGTLAND Outdoors. Hope you enjoy it. And I got to shoot, and I did really well practicing today. I did really well at the archery range. So I'm going to go put together these videos. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you out there. Bye.